Backstage.
I ain't on the table.
I ain't finna tell you how I got away with this shit.
If I'm right, that's good. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And then she leave a priest, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. Now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. I ain't regular out. You's a regular out. Took that bitch back. And she done fed you out. Look how you living out. You look scary out. Can't fuck that bitch right. Cause she be getting nailed out. You won't forgive her, ain't it? You wanna love her, don't you? Just know that love ain't for you. It's for the world, homie. I got some real homies. We don't pretend, homie. ISUPK, 1 West, we kicking field goals. Let that bitch lead, ho. She got them D's, though. With a little steak and ass pussy, she be going beast mode. She HIV, ho. You a dirty ass skeet, ho. Don't get that shit up out your chest, bitch. Say what you gonna do now, what you gonna say now, what you gonna do to me? It is UPK, I'm shot too deep, it's better Google me. I put these girls all in my training camp like I relieve. I say what I do, not do what I say, bitch, what the fuck you mean? If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And then she leave a priest, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. Now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. I get paper, bro. Got my standards up. You a munchkin out. Catching these out. Check my favorite out. I'm a player out. These niggas top block. Take your lead out. You shouldn't be worried about these broke ass bitches. And don't compare yourself to simp ass niggas. Had to shine a lot of these disparate ass women. Cause they be tripping hard, acting like they different. But a bit be basic, bit be horn and bit be naked, taking, faking, stanking, the shame be dirty, mouth bit be faking. I don't get too fucks about you, I wouldn't have put no baby in you. Bit be saying they got that paper, look, they let me itch. Done caught the penalty, hit my energy, got me feeling me. Ice hitting on them, these diamond teeth that's hitting me. And I'm getting right and I'm stacking up and I'm getting to it. And these niggas hate but they can't touch cause I'm bulletproof. If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And then she leave a piece, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. Now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out.
Let her goddamn love them damn dick, she love, man. Ain't no taking nothing back. Cause I ain't regular out.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. Yabashim Yashai Barak thumb to the brothers. Yabashim Allah thumb Bashim Yashai to the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Parak holding down a Tuesday Brotherhood class for the ISUPK coming out of Arizona. All right, if you're watching online, our physical school location is 12416 North 28th Drive. All right, we're in suite number 4, right off of the corner of 28th Drive and Cactus. Make sure y'all tap in with us, man. If you're in the Phoenix area, we got classes every Tuesday through Friday at 7 p.m. And every Saturday, we hold our Sabbath service at 11 a.m. All right. If you're watching on our YouTube or our Facebook, you can see the title of today's class, which is The Signs of the Times. All right. The Signs of the Times. One thing we got to understand, man, is that we living in a time that is unprecedented. Like, and it's a lot of things that are happening real fast. It's a very fast-paced environment that we live in, um, and it's only getting faster. You see, Donald Trump has been elected into office, and within just his first month, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what you see going on in America today. All right. Of course, we all understand. As being the children of Israel, right, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, being the biblical Israelites, God's chosen people. The scriptures in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, tells us that curses will befall us in the end times due to our disobedience to the Most High. All of us, all 12 tribes, whether it's blacks, Hispanics, or Native Americans, we all have our run-ins with Esau. Esau being the Caucasian, right, our oppressor. Esau targets all of us. Many times, he'll target all of us at the same time, but he chooses to hone in on specific tribes at a time. All right. Right now, it's the so-called Northern Kingdoms. The Northern Kingdoms time to be affected the most. All right. And I say so-called, right? Of course, we understand that the kingdom was divided. But of course, we're here to unify the nation, right? But the so-called Northern Kingdom is where you have the so-called Hispanic tribes, right? The so-called Latinos and the Native Americans. Tribe of Issachar right now is being absolutely affected by what America's president has put into play. All right. It's all over the news. It's all over social media. And if you're driving up and down the street, especially if you live in a place like this, if you live in a place like Arizona, where there's several, I mean, it's a lot of so-called Hispanics that live out here that are undocumented. And when you live in an area like this, you're seeing a lot of those ICE trucks. All right. You're seeing a lot of the even the border patrol trucks are coming around this area. So you're seeing a lot of that. And Esau is targeting the so-called Mexicans right now. And with this being a brotherhood class today, I'm gonna make this class mainly about my so-called Northern Kingdom brothers, my so-called Mexican brothers, right? Which are really the tribe of Issachar. Okay. Now, with this class being titled the way it is, right? Signs of the times, we have to understand that this is a wake-up call. Like the Lord put these things in place, is allowing Esau to do these things to show you that he's the devil. Now, we just had camp last Friday. Most High Christ for the brothers that was able to come from out of town. It was able to come from out of town, hold it down with us, and it was an excellent camp. We got some footage coming up. It's already some footage up on Hollywood Israelites on YouTube, and then we'll have some exclusive videos coming up from Friday night from camp, coming up on ISUPK Arizona's Facebook and YouTube page. And when we was out there, it was advertised that there was going to be a march. And this march was specifically for the injustices that the so-called Mexican brothers and sisters are going through right now. All right. When we went out there with a lot of brothers, about 15 brothers deep, to hold down camp, do our street speakings, right? We didn't see nobody. I mean, scattered like maybe 5-10 different people holding up very small Mexican flags. All right. There was no march. And this was supposed to be an organized event. If anybody knows about the First Friday events that we have out here in Arizona, in Phoenix on 4th Street, or excuse me, up and down Roosevelt Road, it's a big event every First Friday. It's a lot of people, thousands of people. But it was almost like they was afraid. There was a very, very large police presence this past Friday. Very large. I mean, it was more than normal, right? Normally, there's some, scattered police officers that kind of come up and down the boulevard, but not that many. This time, I mean, it was at least 100 police officers within about 7 blocks. So it was a lot, and I think that might have had something to do with it. Brothers and sisters might have been scared. I don't know, But what we do know is that they didn't show up the way that they said they would, but we did. We did show up. All right. And we made it a point to speak on the injustices that are taking place and being in our that our Northern Kingdom brothers are being burdened with. Um, and one of the main points that we try to hone in on is what we always try to do is to show our brothers and sisters, listen, this oppressor is trying his damnedest to prove to you that he is the devil that the Bible speaks of. He's trying his hardest to prove to you that he's the devil. You shouldn't trust him. He's your enemy. He doesn't care about you. He means only the worst for you. He's trying to show you that. But the problem is with our people is that we have fallen into a deep slumber, absolutely sleep. We do not see what's right in front of our face. And that brings me into the first scripture I want to bring up. All right. So I'm gonna pull it up on the screen so brothers and sisters can see it. We're going to go into the book of Romans, the 13th chapter. We're going to talk a little bit about this, right? Because it's actually disheartening. It's disheartening, and it's really heartbreaking because our people have so much love to give, and instead of giving it to one another, we give it to everybody else. We give it to the people that hate us for some reason, and I'm saying for some reason, but I know the reason. It's the Christian church. The Christian church, the Catholic Church, has taught us to love our oppressor more than we love each other. They have taken the verse in the Bible that says, "Love your enemy as yourself." They have taken that verse out of the Bible, "Love your enemy," and perverted it to mean you should now focus more on giving your love to the people that hate you more than giving love to your brothers and sisters who are in this same fight right alongside you. That's what they have not perverted that scripture to mean, and that's not what it means. And it's a sad thing. Like I said, it's heartbreaking because our people are the most loving and kind people on the face of this planet. There's nobody more compassionate, charitable, long-suffering, and patient than Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Nobody. There's not a white man on the face of this planet that has the type of love inside of his heart like a Black or Hispanic or Native American has. But the problem is with us, we channel it toward our enemy versus channeling toward one another. That's why you see so-called Black on Black crime. It's a reason for that. And the reason is your oppressor has trained you to be that way. What we do here in ISUPK is we try to wake our brothers and sisters up, explain to them that that's exactly what's taking place and what you can do to stop being in that position. And the first scripture that we're going to bring up is in the book of Romans, the 13th chapter. All right, I'm going to pull it up on the screen. All right, one second. I'll pull it up on the screen. All right. It's Romans, the 13th chapter, in the 11th verse. It says, "And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed." See, what Paul is trying to convey here is it's time now for us to wake up out of this sleep. See, there's a term that's been being used in America for the past 10 years called being woke. All right. And I'm not saying that it originated 10 years ago, but it's been used more heavily in the past 10 years, especially in politics. They call the Democrats the woke left. It's been being used a lot more now. And the problem is that the people that say that they're woke are not really woke. You think woke means, strapping for you brothers and sisters that are claiming to be standing up for the so-called Mexicans, by getting in your truck and putting a Mexican flag, all right, on your truck and doing a burnout in the middle of Van Buren. You think that's woke? Is not. Woke is not having a party. That's not what woke is about. All right. Woke is not showing out. The scriptures is telling us, Paul is telling us that it's time to wake up out of your sleep because now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. You have to realize that Jesus Christ is a black man, and that if you are black, Hispanic, or Native American, that Jesus Christ is your brother, and he is going to come back with millions of angels who are there specifically to protect you and your people. He's going to come back with those angels and with those chariots, destroy the country and the empire that has afflicted you, and take you to your rightful heir. To your rightful kingdom. That's what that you have to understand that. This is not about having a party. You're not woke if you're doing burnouts in the middle of McDowell. It's just not what it is. I understand y'all got the zeal, but it's not according to knowledge. What's really going to save you is coming together with your brothers and sisters, coming back to this Bible, coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments, and coming back to the fear of your God, so that way you can escape the terrors that are coming to America. Because a burnout is nothing compared to thermonuclear warfare, which is coming to America. You're nobody for America to fear. All right? What you have to understand is that America needs to fear the Most High and Christ. That's what America needs to fear. You can make them fear the Most High and Christ by your actions. And this is what I mean by that. If you come into the truth and you begin to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you stop acting a damn idiot. You come together with your brothers and sisters and join this unified front in the ISUPK and take hold of your true customs, your true heritage. Stop being a Catholic. Stop being a Christian. Stop following Islam and idols. And come back and take hold of your culture and follow your God. That's the real threat to America. They don't care about you going and doing burnouts on Van Buren. They don't care about that. There's more of a reason to lock you up. The true fight is when you wake up and come into this truth. We're going to continue reading. All right. Verse 12 said, "The night is far spent. The day is at hand." Understand what that means for a second. The night is far spent. The day is at hand. Meaning you have been asleep long enough. It's time to wake up. You understand? The night is over. The day is at hand. The sun is rising. It's time for you to get the hell up and go to work. And in this analogy, getting up and going to work, if we continue, goes on to say, "Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light." See, that's what it's talking about. See, the works of darkness is the things that you've been doing your entire life that have never benefited you. Anything outside of this truth, that you felt like you was making a change and impacting the community. Look at what's come of it. Nothing. But in here, that's what we do and what we live for. All right. And that's not, of course, to step on your efforts, but you have to understand, even Paul is telling you, your efforts are misplaced. You understand? This is what you must do. You got to wake up out of that sleep. It's time to get the hell up. It's time to wake up, put some boots on the ground, and go and save your brother, save your sister. That's what you need to do. The scriptures tell us in the book of Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse, to gather together. And it calls us a nation that's not desired. Because one thing that we have in common, you can go through all of the differences that we have, but the one thing that we have in common is that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are not desired by America. They want us all out of here. They tell us all the same thing. They tell us, the so-called Negroes, go back to Africa. They tell the so-called Mexicans, go back to Mexico. That's what they tell us. Do you understand? The only ones they can't say that to are the so-called Native Americans. But guess what they do to them? They push them into the reservations. You understand? And call them drunks and savages. So what you got to understand is that the scriptures have outlined a way for us to fight our oppressor. It's not the way that you've been doing it. Now we're going to continue on. Verse 13 says, "Let us walk honestly, as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying." See, once again, going back to what I was saying, brothers, listen, when you don't have proper leadership and guidance, you're going to do the things that I've been seeing. Those burnouts in the middle of the street, they look cool. Throwing the Mexican flags on top of, on the back of your pickup truck looks cool. It looks like solidarity. It looks like unity, but it's not, because you're going to go back into the world, continue to patronize white companies, Fortune 500 companies that have taken control over your entire livelihood. The same people that want to kick you out of this country, you're going to go patronize them. You're going to continue to do exactly what they want you to do. But the scriptures are telling us that you're going to have to find a way out of that. And the way out of that is not going to look like the way it's been looking. It's not going to be in rioting and drunkenness. It's not going to be in chambering and wantonness. It's not going to be in strife and envying. Verse 14 gives us the exact answer. It says, "But put ye on the Lord Yahushua Mashiach, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lusts thereof." That's the way that you can fight this oppressor, man. You begin to fight the oppressor by fighting yourself first. You begin to conquer the oppressor by conquering your flesh. Your enemy can be conquered, but not until you conquer your own enemy that's inside of you. You understand? And what that looks like is you can't be getting high. You can't be a drunkard. You can't be a sinner. You cannot be the things that this oppressor has put you in the bullseye of exactly what they want you to do. There's no way that you're going to make any change. It's impossible. Once again, the only way that you're going to be able to come out of this thing is if you do exactly what the Lord has told you to do. The Lord gave us the outline. He gave us the answer. The problem is that so many of our people will rather not hear that. Just a side note, right? When we was at camp the other day, there's a lot of Mexicans and there's a lot of blacks and Hispanics that came up against us and said, "Yeah, I'm not really feeling what y'all talking about." Then, of course, on the other side, there was a lot of brothers and sisters that did love what we was talking about. But what y'all got to understand is that divide can't be. Everybody gonna have to get on the same page, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what our goal is to get all of our brothers, all of our sisters on the same page. Y'all got to understand, we don't do this for our own benefit. This doesn't benefit us. Us sacrificing our time, sacrificing our lives, our minds, sacrificing everything so we can get our brothers and sisters out of this world. You understand? So once again, the only way that you can truly make a difference is if you come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. And I'm gonna show you something real quick. Matter of fact, let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. The 28th chapter. We're going to read this real quick. I want to show y'all something because this is extremely important when we're talking about the so-called Mexicans. And remember what this class is called. It's called the sign of the times. These are the signs of the times. The prophecies that you find in the Bible outline what would happen in the latter days, which we believe that we are living in today, which shows us that we are in the latter times. And also shows us who the true children of God are. We're going to read something in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. All right, I'm going to put it up on the screen so we can read it. Now, these are in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, these are where you find the curses that the Most High has outlined to show that these curses would fall upon the children of Israel. There is a list of blessings if you did follow the Most High and keep his commandments, and a list of curses if you did not follow the Most High and keep his commandments. We're going to start off with the blessings real quick. All right. Verse 1 says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Understand that this could be reality. And this is what we strive for in here, because us being the children of Israel, this is talking to us. It's not talking to nobody else. A white man can't pick up this book, read Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and say, oh, this was written for me. But if you're Black, Hispanic, or Native American, this was written to you. And this is God instructing you that if you keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, you will be blessed. Blessings that it will be so many blessings that they will overtake you. You don't want to do with them. It'll be so many goddamn blessings. That's a beautiful thing, ain't it? Well, let's continue down. Now, it gives you a list of about 10 or 12 blessings, different things that I outlined. Of course, the Israelites would be the top nation. It would be above all the other nations. If anybody would have ever come up against the children of Israel in a war, we'd be able to drive them out like it's nothing. There would be nothing that could stop us, right? Because we would have obtained the Most High's favor. And that, of course, would mean that the Lord would give us those blessings. But once we continue on down into the 15th verse, as you can see here on the Blue Letter Bible, the title is Consequences of Disobedience. And that's exactly what these are. These are the curses for the disobedience to the Most High. And this is what's going to give us the signs of the times that I was just talking about. So Deuteronomy 28:15 says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. This is what would come to pass if the children of Israel disobeyed the Most High. Well, I got a spoiler alert for you. That's exactly what we've done continuously. Now, if you go into the Bible after Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, just read the book of Joshua, then read the book of Kings, read the book of Chronicles, you'll find out that the children of Israel disobeyed the Most High time and time again. But let's fast forward to the year 2025. What could the Most High still be upset with the children of Israel for in 2025? Well, once again, because the children of Israel are the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you can see that those specific groups of people are way off into idolatry. All right. The so-called Black man's highest religion is Christianity. All right. Christianity is the worship of a false Christ, is the worship of that cross. Christianity teaches that the law that the Most High delivered to the children of Israel is done away with. They teach that you can celebrate Christmas if you like, which is a pagan holiday. They teach that you can celebrate the New Year, which is also a pagan holiday to the god Janus. All right, so many things. That's the highest religion that the so-called Black man participates in. Then, right alongside that is Islam, which is the worship of that Kaaba stone and worshiping the gods of another nation, which that god is an Arab god. Then you have the so-called Mexicans, right? And a lot of the so-called Northern Kingdom tribes, right? The El Salvadorians, the Peruvians, Guatemalans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans. You find that a lot of those brothers and sisters are off into Catholicism. Catholicism is the worship of Mother Mary, all right? Not to mention that the Trinity, alongside Christianity and Catholicism, is one of the biggest points of that religion. Well, that also is idolatry. You have turned Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, into an idol. So now, why am I saying that? And why is in 2025 the Most High still upset with the children of Israel? Well, because the children of Israel are still off into idolatry. All right, still off into these other religions, still following the other nations. That's the first commandment that you find in Exodus, the 20th chapter, is thou shalt have no other gods before me. We've broken that time and time again. So why are these things happening to us? Well, we just read in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Let's read it again. Now that we understand that we're sinning against the Most High God, let's read it again. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 15th verse. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So once again, that's proof that the reason why we go through the things that we go through in America, in this hellhole, the reason why our lives are hell, is because of our disobedience to the Most High. And I'm going to show you one of these curses, because all the way from Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, in the 15th verse, all the way down to verse 68, are nothing but curses that would befall us. And guess what? They all apply to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I'm going to show you one just because of the topic that we're talking about, right? Because we're talking about the so-called Mexicans. And we're talking about how ICE is deporting these brothers and these sisters and these children. All right. So now we're going to go down to the 32nd verse. And I'm going to put it up on the screen so that y'all can see it. All right. So this is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and the 32nd verse. This is a part of that list of curses that will befall the children of Israel if we disobeyed the Most High's commandments. So verse 32 says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Verse 32 is absolutely important for what we're talking about, because once again, it says that your sons and daughters will be given unto another people, and you'll look for them because you want your children, but your eyes are going to fail you with longing for those children all the day long, because there's no power in your hand. See, y'all got to understand that these are the things that are happening to our brothers and sisters of the tribe of Issachar right now. All right. The so-called Mexicans are being affected directly by this curse. And like I said, when we started this class, I said we all get our run-ins with Esau. All right. The same thing that's happening to the so-called Mexicans right now happened to the so-called black man and woman. Right. Back in the time of the transatlantic slave trade, our children were ripped from our hands. Our children were ripped from our hands. Our sisters carried those children for 9-10 months, bore those children. Nobody can understand the bond that a mother and a child has besides that mother and that child. And this disgusting oppressor ripped those children from the hands of that mother and of that father and sold them off, never to be seen again. That's a direct result of this curse that we just read in Deuteronomy 28 and 32. Well, we've had that time and time again as, so-called black people in America. But as we look and see what's going on right now with our so-called Mexican brothers and sisters, the same thing is happening. Except sometimes, a lot of times right here, it's going to be in reverse, meaning the parents will be sent off. They say they're deported back to Mexico. The children don't get to go with their parents. All right. Many a times with the children, before Trump ended the birthright citizenship, if these children, many a time these children were born in America, so they were technically, by law, citizens of the United States of America, so they couldn't be deported. The parents get deported back to Mexico. The children get stuck up in the system here in America, which is a terrible position to be in as a child. Ruins a child's life. All right. Then that's happened too many times. There was a famous image that we saw back in 2020 of a sister breastfeeding her baby through a chain link fence. Okay, because they were separated at the border. All right, this is the type of thing that Esau is doing to our people. These are the fulfillments of these curses. The curse was, if you didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments of your God, the Lord was going to curse you and punish you. And one of those punishments was that your children were going to be given to another people. So now these brothers and sisters is getting deported. They children that are citizens of America have to stay here, end up in the system, and be given to another people, be given over to the hands of our oppressor in this place. And we all understand the track record of this people and the types of things that they do to children. It's absolutely disgusting. And that's something that they're going to pay for. But we have to understand that these are the things that were prophesied. These are the signs of the times. This is why you see what's happening right now. All right. If we continue on, all right, let's continue on. Verse 33 says, "In the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. And thou shalt only be, thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always." See, this is what our brothers and sisters are going through, man. The so-called Mexicans, man, they're going through this. All right, they are, they give the most and receive nothing. They spend their entire day and night laboring for this oppressor, laboring for Esau, and don't receive any of it. All right, they get crumbs. They're picking avocados in California for 7 cents on the dollar. Y'all understand that? I mean, they're absolutely being oppressed. Like it says, they'll be only oppressed and crushed always. That's how we know that them brothers. I can't stand anybody that tries to say that the Mexicans are not our brothers, man. All right, the so-called black man and the so-called Mexican have been through the same exact struggles. If I was to turn this camera around at the very back wall that we have a plethora of images. All right, and some of the images that we have up there are actually of some lynchings, right? And it shows one of the specific picture that I'm referring to. It showed, I probably couldn't show it on here anyway because it'd probably get flagged, but it was a black man and a Mexican man in the 1950s being lynched right next to each other. And we got other images in here too that show the same thing, us being enslaved right next to them. And that goes for the tribe of Gad too, right? Because when you go back into the time of the transatlantic slave trade back in the early 1600s, 1700s, you find that the gravesite, we were buried right next to the Native Americans. The so-called black people were buried right next to the so-called Native Americans. We've always been together. All right. But it's our oppressor that tries to split us up. And with this being a brotherhood class, this class is designed so that way we can understand we in this fight together. Y'all understand that curse that we just read about your children being given to another nation and you'll never be able to see them again. That's a struggle that black and brown have gone through together. And the sooner that we understand that we have a common enemy and that you and I are not enemies, the sooner we can make an actual change. Like I mentioned earlier, we spend so much time trying to make change in the wrong way. And like I said earlier, it's not that we trying to step on your effort, but your effort is misplaced. All right. There's a way that you have to do these things. And the scriptures tell us that coming back to these laws, these statutes, these commandments, coming back to these moral codes, this code of ethics is the proper way for us to build our nation back up. Let's go real quick. It's not going to be a real long class either because this is pretty much straight to the point. But I do want to bring out as much as I can just to make sense of what's going on right now in America. Let me see something. All right. So we're going to go to Lamentations, the 4th chapter, and we're going to read verse 17. It says, "As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us." See, the vain help that this is talking about is us looking to a specific group of people, thinking that they can help us when they have no help to give us. And here's what I mean by that, right? It says that we have watched for a nation that could not save us. See, the only people that can save us out of our condition is ourselves. But we continuously try to look for legislation to help us out. We continuously try to look for laws and bills to get passed, all right, to help us in our situations. And it's proven that it's been to no avail. All right. There's a way that you have to go about these things. All right. And I'm gonna keep harping on that because there's a way that you have to deal with the oppressor. The scriptures call him the serpent. And he's the most subtle, the most cunning. All right. It's very hard to deal with a devil head on. All right. You can't just fight fire with fire. All right. They're expecting you to do the things that the Black Panthers did. Y'all see why that didn't last. That's why when the NFAC came around in 2019, 2020, they were quickly put out. I mean, they're not around anymore. And that was a so-called coalition that they modeled themselves after the militancy of the Black Panther Party, um, not realizing that the Black Panther Party failed, and they don't know why. They don't understand why, and they followed the same blueprint and failed right along with them. Something has to tell you, like, this is uh, a worldly proverb that a lot of people say. They say that the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Um, we've had the Black Panther Party. All right. We had Malcolm X. All right. We had the Brown Berets. All right. For our so-called Mexican brothers. Um, we've I think, what is it, the AIM, the Native American Indian movement, or the American Indian movement. Um, we've had all of these movements, and then we've had people try to copy them, like the NFAC, and we find that those things never succeed. And we keep trying the same thing over and over, thinking that maybe we'll be able to break through this barrier. But that's not the way that the Lord has designed it. The Lord has explained to us, right? It's been in front of our faces. Everybody got a Bible. It's just collecting dust in that drawer somewhere, that you never use. But it's been right in front of your face. It's been in this Bible. There's an outline that explains exactly how to get out of this hell. The scriptures tell us that. Scriptures explain. We just read it in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. If you come together, keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and do like what Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter, tells you to do, which is to gather together and unify, not with a bunch of different ideologies, not Islam and Christians coming together. None of that. Not your Hotep cats trying to come together with the Christians, because the Hotep cats, like your brother Polite, doesn't have the same morals as the Hebrew Israelites, because the Hebrew Israelites say that sexual. I'm trying to make sure that we don't get flagged with my terminology, but sexual abuse is a death sentence according to the Bible. Well, Brother Polite didn't think that, because he went to prison for sexually abusing a young teenager. I think she was 13. So coming together with somebody like that, I don't give a damn how much knowledge you got. If we don't have the same morality, I can't roll with you. And that's what you see. The Black Panthers had brothers that was Muslim, had brothers that was Christian, had brothers that was into Kemet, had brothers that followed Dr. Malachi York. It was an amalgamation of all of these different ideologies, and that's one of the main reasons why it failed. The scriptures outline and gives us a perfect understanding of how to defeat our oppressor by coming together under one umbrella and under one understanding. And once again, Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, outlines it perfectly. If you keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and love the Most High with all your heart and your soul, you'll be set up on high above all the other nations. You'll get all of the blessings that every blessing you find in this book, you will attain all of them. But what we've consistently done is ignored that promise. We've ignored that promise, and we said, nah, no deal. We said no deal, and we're going to go into Catholicism. We're going to go into Kemet. We're going to go into following, Nuwapianism with Dr. York, going to Christianity, going to Islam. We're going to do all of these other things except for what the Lord said, and then we wonder why these things happen to us. But the Lord put it in front of our face. These are the signs of the times. All right. Let's continue reading, right? So we'll be back in Lamentations, the 4th chapter and the 18th verse. It says, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. That's what we have to focus. We have to, this is the fact that this was written 2,500 years ago is once again absolutely amazing, because we've been in this same cycle for 3,000 years, the Israelites. The same cycle, which is we follow the Most High, everything goes good, we get too comfortable, and we stop following the Most High. We start to follow the other gods of the nations that are around about us. We get bored serving God for some reason. I don't understand it. But our people get bored serving God. They got to get into mischief. That's why the scriptures call us a stiff-necked people, hard-headed. That's the way we are. We bad children. And you see that happen. That's the cycle that we always end up in. And then we get jammed up. You understand? When we leave the Most High. We think that celebrating Christmas is such a nostalgic and fun thing. You know, we'd rather do that, even though that it's based off of a pagan festival called Saturnalia. And when you go even deeper into the history of it, it's actually the worship of a man named Nimrod. So, but you don't care. And then as you progress and you continue to go deeper off into that idolatry and farther away from the Most High jam you up. And then here you come back. Come right back to your father's doorstep, begging to come back in. Please let me back in. I'll do whatever you say. I'll make sure I take out the garbage on time. I'll make sure them dishes get done. I'll make sure I'm back in before the street lights. Right? Your father's commandments, your father's rules. You'll follow them then once you get jammed up. The Lord know how to put you in a position to make you miss how good it was to follow him. And that's where we are right now. It happens consistently. That's where we are right now. Right now, our brothers and sisters are starting to realize that something is wrong. And no matter what we do, there is no escape out of this hell. That's why we go and do what we do. When we go out and teach on the street, when we teach these classes, when we post on the internet, the only reason we do this is not so that you can listen to us talk. All right. Contrary to popular belief, we don't like to just listen to ourselves talk. We do this because we're trying to give you the solution that you've ignored, the solution that's been in front of your face, but you have shown no interest in, no caring, and much because of what the Christian church has done to lead you away from the truth. Much of what your black leaders, so-called leaders, have done to lead you away from the truth. A lot of it's due to that. And so our job is to make sure that we bring it back to your remembrance that, hey, if you do what the Lord said, you know, you don't have to be in this jam. And that's why we teach. That's the whole point. And that's why we explain what the signs of the times are. And going back to the scripture, right, in Lamentations 4:18, it says that they hunt our steps. Our enemies hunt our steps the same way that you see ICE patrolling right now. That's physical. They hopping out of them trucks, busting into these apartment complexes. I was just talking to a brother. They said that just the other week, at his apartment complex, they went, busted a cat, threw flashbangs, all types. Some old brother. He's an old Issacharite, old Mexican man. Threw flashbangs and all types of this stuff just to detain one man, one old brother, elderly. Now, like I said, that's physical. That's them hunting your steps, and that's what they're doing. Just side note, by the way, I think I bring this up. I've been bringing this up for the past 2 weeks because I find it extremely ridiculous. But out here in Arizona, at my daughter's kindergarten, they the ICE pulled up with trucks at my daughter's kindergarten. I hopped out, and several units going through the different classrooms and looking for undocumented. They call them undocumented and illegal immigrants. You're talking about 5-year-olds. that the parents are doing an excellent job by trying to send them to school to get an education that they may not have ever received. And they hunting their steps. But like I said, now that's physical, but they do that spiritually. I mean, day in and day out. Right? The same thing that they're doing to the so-called Mexicans right now is the same thing that they did to the black man in the 60s and 70s when they pushed crack into our neighborhoods, when they set up things like agendas like redlining and those tactics to try to keep us at the lowest level possible. All right, to destroy us. Now, this is something that, once again, this being a brotherhood class, I'm just trying to make sure that brothers and sisters understand that Black and Hispanic people are in this together. And the same way that the oppressor is hunting the so-called Mexican steps right now is the same way that they've been hunting the so-called Black man steps. Y'all understand? And the sooner that you realize that, you realize you got a common enemy. And the fact that we have that common enemy, the scriptures say 2 is better than 1. And a threefold cord is not easily broken. So going back to it again, Zephaniah 2, gathering together is the only way that we'll be able to beat this enemy. And I'm not talking about what the Black Panthers did, right? Raising rifles up and going to the city hall and going to the Capitol building and marching in there so we could get arrested and not be able to go home to our families to protect them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing it the way the Lord said. The Lord said that if you fight to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, that the Most High will fight for you. That's in the Bible. If you fight to endure in this truth, the Lord will fight for you. And that's all we got to do. But so many people make that like it's an impossible thing. Why? Because you can't eat chitlins no more? Nobody like chitlins. I mean, you can't eat the pork chops. You can't eat that crab. I mean, is that such a big deal for your salvation? I mean, we talking about celebrating Christmas here. We talking about being able to go to the Christmas party and celebrate New Year. Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments is actually very simple. The scripture said that the Lord would never put something on you that you can't bear. But of course, not everybody is as strong as the Lord would desire you to be. And so a lot of our brothers and sisters end up falling to that same thing that we've always failed to, which is keeping the law is too hard for me. What we have to understand is in order to get out of this condition and stop going through the things that we see happening right now. I mean, like I said, things are ramping up real fast. You think Trump is going crazy now? He's just getting started. This is only month 1. You understand? So the way that these things are panning out, the scriptures say, like we just read in the book of Romans, the 13th chapter, it's high time for you to wake out of your sleep. It's time for you to wake up. Like, listen, there's no more time to rest. It's time to kick it in high gear. Right? Let me see something real quick. We're gonna get another get another precept here. All right, like I said, we're not gonna be too much longer. All right, let's read this real quick. So we're going to read Micah, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to read verse 10. Micah 2:10 says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction." What y'all got to understand about America is, I understand that America has been considered, it's a slogan, it's a catchphrase, the land of the free, home of the brave, right? But the way I understand America to be is the land of the captives and the home of the captors. All right. That's what America is, because that's what this country is based on. This country is based on the destruction of Blacks and Latinos and Native Americans. That's what it's based off of. And this country holds captive the children of Israel, the so-called Blacks and Latinos and Native Americans. All right. Well, the book of Micah, the 2nd chapter, and the 10th verse tells us, "Arise and depart, for this is not your rest." Now, this is not talking about get a passport and try to go to another country. That's not at all what this is talking about. This is a spiritual thing. The scriptures tell us, Paul tells us, right, that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. So this is not talking about get you a passport and fly out the country and try to go somewhere to escape your troubles. That's not going to happen. All right. This is talking about the fact that this place is polluted. When we continue to read on, I'll put it back up on the screen, right? In the second half of verse 10, it says, it shall, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. So we have to put off America. What does that mean? Let's read real quick. The perfect precept to this is in Revelation, the 18th chapter and the 4th verse. So what does it mean? All right. Revelation 18:4 says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. This is talking about Babylon. It's the same thing that Micah was talking about in Micah, the 2nd chapter. All right, come out of her, my people. And when we read it in Micah, it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. And they both hold the same sentiment, that this place is polluted and it will destroy you. Right? What you must do in order to depart from Babylon, all right, in order for you to come out of Babylon, it means that you have to put off the ideologies of Babylon, the culture of Babylon, the morals that Babylon supplies you with. All right. You have to put off all of those things and put on what the scriptures have told you to put on, which is the morality of the scriptures, the law that you find in the scriptures. All right. Our culture that you find in the scriptures. So many of us have become indulged in the culture of America. The prophets have told you, according to these scriptures, right? Micah and John the Revelator told you that you have to come out of this place spiritually, because the culture of America is going to get you put to death, right? The culture of America is polluted and it shall destroy you. A lot of us have been raised up in America thinking that this is how life is supposed to operate. All right. We've become numb to morality. So now our morals are all skewed because we don't know what's right and wrong until America tells you what's right and wrong. I might strike a chord with this one, but America tells you that it's okay for a man and a man to lie with each other. The scriptures in the book of Leviticus tell you that it's a death sentence. It's an offense that's punishable by death. I mean, that's just what it is. Now you can take what America has given you and be destroyed right along with it because it is polluted, or you can take what the Lord has given you and live, because that's what the Most High is calling you back to do. The scriptures tell you that there should be no witches in the children of Israel, nor any wizards. All right. Well, witchcraft, all right, is exactly what you're doing when you put that blunt to your lips. Witchcraft is exactly what you're doing when you're snorting that cocaine or using any form of drug to alter your mind. That's witchcraft. And the scriptures say that thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. The Bible, America says that you can get high. It's absolutely illegal in the state of Arizona to smoke marijuana. We touched on it a little bit while we was out at camp on First Friday, right? They walking up and down the street with them vape pens. You smell it. I mean, blowing clouds of marijuana smoke in front of the police officers. Remember, I was talking about the fact that it was, probably 100 police officers just within a couple of blocks. And they blowing big clouds of marijuana smoke because technically it's legal out here. So by America's standards, that's just fine. But according to the Bible, a witch cannot live. And putting that blunt to your lips, putting that vape pen to your lips is considered witchcraft according to the Bible. That's in the Bible. It's in the definition of witchcraft. When you go into the Greek of witchcraft in the New Testament, it's pharmakia, which literally is talking about the misuse of medicine. Y'all say weed is medicine, ain't it? Well, when you're using weed to self-medicate, you are actually committing the act of witchcraft according to the Bible. So are you going to listen to what your oppressor, America, tells you is right? Or are you going to listen to what the Bible tells you is right? I mean, that's up for brothers and sisters to decide for themselves. But Moses says something heavy in the book of Deuteronomy. He said that he bear record in front of the angels in heaven that he set before us life and death. And he said, choose life that thou mayest therefore live. So that's what we choose. All right. Um, that's the important part. That's the important part. All right. And so we're gonna get one more script. Matter of fact, let's continue on. Let's continue on in the book of Revelations, the 18th chapter. So Revelations 18. Let's start back from the top, right? Because I want to hone in on this. So Revelation 18:4, it says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." Another thing that I wanted to point out about this is that according to the Bible, and this is part of that prophecy, right, that we're reading right now in Revelation 18, Babylon, which we believe to be America, is going to be destroyed. All right, it's going to be destroyed. The prophecies say that it's going to burn up in flames. It's going to become what the Bible calls the lake of fire. So many people think that that's a hell that's underneath the earth. No, that lake of fire is America on fire, burning. That's what is prophesied to happen to America. Well, that's the plague that's coming to America. And John the Revelator is getting this vision from an angel in heaven that's saying, come out of her, come out of Babylon, so that way you don't receive of that plague. See, because this is what y'all have to understand. According to the prophecy in the Bible, Christ is going to return with the chariots, with the angels, and this place is going to be destroyed. America is going to be destroyed. The Most High will send those chariots down to remove you from this land of your captivity before that destruction comes, but only if you deserve it. If you don't come out of Babylon spiritually, you will die with Babylon physically. So your best bet is to follow what Moses said in Deuteronomy. When he said, I set before you life and death, therefore choose life that thou mayest live. That's your best bet. And when you go into what Moses was talking about, he was talking about that life being keeping the commandments. So, and I always revert back to this because it's a very rudimentary understanding of what the Most High is, which is the Most High as a Father. All right. And the Most High has ground rules. He has rules that you must, if you want to live in his house, you must abide by those rules. And that's all the commandments are. The commandments are just the rules that the Most High has given you. If you want to live in his house, these are the rules you're going to live by. The second you step outside of that, you now lose the protection of your father and the protection of that home. And you got to go out and see what life is like on the outside. That's what we in the ISUPK are trying to prevent you from having to deal with any longer. We're trying to bring you back into your father's home. And that's why these things are so important. When we read these things in the Bible, these things are meant to strike a chord with you so you can begin to understand that there is a way out of this hell, because we see that there's so many things that us as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have tried and attempted to regain some sort of control over our lives, and they've all failed. We all remain in the same condition. It never gets any better. The Lord has designed it that way because we're not meant to rely on ourselves or rely on the other nations or to rely on those that have us in captivity. We're meant to rely on the Most High and come back to his laws, statutes, and commandments. And we read it earlier, Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. It tells us if you do that, the Lord will set you on high above all the other nations. The Lord will make all of the things, all of the hell and misery that you have to deal with here in America, being oppressed, the Lord will overturn those things. And now you will be the one that has the power to oppress, has the power to put your foot on the neck of the less fortunate, but you'll show mercy because that's the type of people that we are. The Lord will put you in that position. And that's the way the Lord would have it. The Lord would prefer for us to be the ruling class. Like I said earlier, Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the most kind, loving, charitable, long-suffering people that you'll ever meet. But our oppressor is the polar opposite. They see that. They're like the bully that sees the kindness and takes it for the weakness and will stomp you out for being kind. Now, if you think that's the way that the Lord wants this thing to run, then you are sadly and sorely mistaken. The Lord would have nothing other than for his children to be the ruling authority over this earth. The problem is you got to get you refusing the crown. You don't want the crown on your head. The scriptures say that we'll be a nation of kings and priests. But you don't want that crown. You want the crown in America. That's why you kissing the white man's tail, trying to get a leg up. But what you need to be doing, the scriptures say that you should lay your treasures up in heaven. And what does that look like? That looks like following the Most High, coming back to the Most High. And even though it's not the easiest thing in the world, even though many will reject you, like Christ said was going to happen, right? And you'll go through trouble. Just know that what you're doing is bigger than yourself. That's what coming back into the fold is about, right? Coming back into the fold is just not about you. It's about the nation. It's about the children of Israel as a whole. And that's another thing too, before we get out of here. With this being a brotherhood class, you know, we got to stop being so damn selfish as a people. That's one of our number one problems. I was talking to a brother while we was at camp the other day, and while we was teaching, and the brother basically what he said was, yeah, I can get down with this, but what did he say? He said something along the lines of, I just don't get along with people. So I get what y'all trying to do, but you know, I don't get along with people very well. And because we was talking about unity, we was talking about, you know, having brothers and sisters be together on one accord with one understanding, being one mind. And he was like, yeah, I just don't get along with people well, but I respect what y'all doing. I'm like, all right, brother. That's so many of our people's mindset, right? Selfish. You can't think about nobody besides yourself. And that's just, honestly, that's not how it's going to be able to work. The Lord said that children of Israel, we have to function as one body. All right. So all of this is one unified front. So for instance, right, when the scriptures make that analogy that we are one body, well, I need my left foot and my right foot to be on one accord to get me up the street. Because if they not, I'm gonna fall flat on my face. I gotta be able to rely on my left foot, my right foot to work. And then on top of that, my left knee and my right knee gotta be on the same accord too. Otherwise, I'm gonna fall flat on my face. You understand? Every moving part of that body is absolutely integral to that body functioning properly. And that's why you can't be selfish. My right foot can't be selfish and say, I'm going to take all of the steps, because guess what's going to happen? I'm going to fall on my face. This body cannot function that way. So when somebody say, well, I just don't get along with people, or I get what y'all saying, but I like to do my own thing. I understand. The Bible is 100% against that. Scriptures say that we all have to be on one accord. You understand? And that's what we coming back to. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and close out, man. I definitely wanted, like I said, it's gonna be a little bit of a shorter class, but I wanted to make sure that I brought them precepts out, man. We brought them out on Friday. We weren't able to go live. We are gonna have some clips coming out on ISUPK Arizona YouTube and Facebook and TikTok for as long as it's gonna be out. I think they plan on banning it again in like another month or so. But we'll be definitely utilizing it to its full capabilities as long as it's available to us. But like I said, man, I definitely wanted to bring those out, man. Going back to Romans the 13th chapter, it's high time to wake up. You understand? The night is far spent. The day is at hand. It's time to roll up out of that bed, hit that alarm. Don't hit the snooze button. Right? Close that alarm out. Get up, brush your teeth, wash your face. It's time to get cracking, man. It's time to put this thing in high gear. The Lord is ramping this thing up. You see how he's making, he's hardening Trump's heart and making him absolutely evil towards the northern tribes, so called, right? You see the things that are happening right now, right in front of your face. He more than ever, he's trying to show you that he's the devil that the Bible speaks of. Like they showing you right in front of your face. It's just time for you to be able to accept it and realize, damn, what them brothers, them Hebrew Israelites have been talking about, they've been right all along. We talked about that last week too. Scriptures say that in that day, I think it's in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. But in that day, you're going to see the strangeness of the salvation of the children of Israel. And at that moment, you're going to realize that all of the crazy stuff that them Hebrew Israelites was talking about ended up being true. And you're going to repent, and it's going to be too late. So while you still got time, all right, the scriptures say it's time for you to wake up and realize that the unified front that you've been looking for is right in front of you. It's in the ISUPK, the Hebrew Israelites. With that being said, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Once again, we got classes every Tuesday through Friday at 7 p.m. and every Saturday at 11 a.m. 12416 North 28th Drive, suite number 4, right off of the corner of 28th Drive and Cactus. If you're in the Phoenix area, make sure you come get down with us, man. The water for tuning in. Shalom, y'all.